and welcome to Ruth Loves to Knit podcast. I'm Ruth and I love to knit. You're very, very welcome here this morning on the 4th of August 2021. I'm coming to you as always from Devon in the southwest of England, where I usually live with my husband and 2 children. But my husband has taken my children over to Ireland to see his parents for a week, so I am on my own. Well, I say I'm on my own, but one of the reasons that I didn't go is that we have a plethora of animals to look after. A dog, chickens, chicks, fish, all the rest of it. So I'm here, hopefully in a bit of quietness today, who knows, with all that's going on around the place. But you're very, very welcome here this morning. If you've never been before, I hope you'll enjoy what you watch. I hope you've got some knitting or some crafting, a nice cup of tea or whatever, and that you'll just join me for a wee bit of nitty chat. Well, where can you find me? I am Ruth Loves to Knit. Sorry, I'm sitting on a swivel chair and I'm just very, very tempting to keep moving. You can find me at Ruth Loves to Knit on Instagram. On Ravelry, I'm Craftymadmidwife. And I also have an email that is ruthlovestoknit@gmail.com, and that is being used well, so do feel free to get in touch with me on that avenue as well. Well, I have lots to share with you as always, and so I think we should just buckle up and get stuck in. Wee bit of admin right at the start. If you've watched any of my podcasts recently, you'll know that I am doing a cowl with lovely Fernanda from Littlemonkeysand, and we have got together to do a shawl cowl. We are both obsessed with knitting shawls, and we thought this was a perfect one to start with. So it's got a hashtag on Instagram. The hashtag is across the pond shawl cowl. Fernanda's in America, I'm in England, so we thought that would be a perfect title for it. And that's on Instagram, but you can also get in touch on Ravelry under Littlemonkeysand, and there is a finished object post there, thread, I think they call it in Ravelry, don't they? And there's also a chatty thread, and there's loads of chat going on there, and Fernanda's kind of overseeing that a wee bit, but I dip in every now and again. But I have to say, Ravelry, it doesn't make it easy. It's a very strange interface, isn't it, on Ravelry for putting comments, but it's easy enough to do them. So please join in, or don't, it's up to you. But the cowl is ongoing till September the 30th. So if you haven't started a shawl, you are not too late in any shape or form. And all we need to see at the end is a finished object photo. There's already quite a few in there, and several people have said they're starting another one, so the more the merrier. And last week I showed you just some of the gorgeous prizes, including a Hohi Locatelli bag. So you never know, if you're not in, you can't win, and sure, you'll get a lovely shawl out of it too. So have a go. Any shawl from one skein up to how many you want. Whips are allowed as long as they're less than 25% done. We do want finished objects though at the end of the day, and crochet or knitting is fine. I think there's a few crochet ones. I'm really amazed at the crochet because I'm so new to it. So if you want to knit or crochet a shawl, you jump on in there, and you're very, very welcome in the Across the Pond shawl cowl. Now, what else? Last week, if you saw my podcast, I mentioned I'd put adverts on just at the beginning, and you can skip them if you want to, but I'd said that any monetary comeback from it, that I will be sending it to the hospital where I worked for quite a few years in Bangladesh, northwest Bangladesh, called Lam Hospital. And a few of you have got in touch with me to see if there's any other way that you can donate money to that hospital. And obviously I'm not grabbing for money here, but people did ask, and I just thought I would share, and I'll put it down below as well. And I do have a Ko-fi account, which you can put a bit of money into if you want. It's not for me, it'll all be going to Lam as well, and that's in my Instagram. But I think the best way to do it, if you do want to give some monetary gift to the hospital is to go to lambhealth.org.uk. Now, if you're in America, there is another website as well, but it all links through on that one website. So lambhealth.org.uk, but I'll put it down below in the show notes as well, don't worry. And several people have said that they would like to donate, and sorry, it just touches my heart so much that somebody watching this wee podcast would want to give to that hospital. And if you've watched the news at all, you know that Bangladesh is being absolutely slammed with COVID at the minute, and the hospital where I worked is in the middle of nowhere, you would think, but yet there's millions of people in the catchment area who just, if they can't work, they don't have any money. And just to let you know, watching they don't even bother watching them, just let them run, but you only get about 4 cents per ad. It's in dollars, and we've made $25 since the last podcast in 2 weeks. I'm thrilled with that, because for a day labourer, they only earn sometimes $1 a day, so a little goes a very long way. As you can see, it is on my heart. My big part of my heart is still in Bangladesh, and they would be so thankful for anything that you can spare. That's my advert over. I don't expect anything, but just on a funny note, I thought I would watch the beginning of my podcast to see if the ads were working. And the first ad was for foot fungus, and the second one was for something I'm not going to mention here. So I have no control over the adverts, but it did make me laugh. But let them run while you're making a cup of tea, or you're getting your craft and project together or whatever, and it soon adds up. So that's my advert over for now. So, but obviously there's absolutely no pressure to do any of that. I'm just putting, and I won't mention that again for a good while, but I want to thank you for those who've said they would watch or let them run. Thank you so much. I think that's, oh, and the last little bit of admin is I had a destash under my Ruth Loves to Knit destash account on Instagram, sadly only for the UK, because it wouldn't be worthwhile with postage sending it overseas. And I just want to thank you so much for helping with my gluttony of yarn. There's still a few wee bits on there if you still want to have a look. I've sent everything up to this morning, it's all away. And just again, thank you so much, and no doubt I'll buy more yarn with some of the money, but I'm very thankful to have. I love a good clear out. I love, you know, you buy things and then you go off them, or you taste change or whatever, and there's somebody else will always love it. So thank you very much for buying from my destash. I think that's what, 7 minutes in. Let's get started on the knitting. So FOs, now, sorry, I put this too far away. That's it. FOs, now where have I put them? Here we go. My first FO, if you remember from last time, I had a hoe, and this is beautiful. That's it. Beautiful socks from just a vanilla sock with an umbrella toe. That's the Bakery Bears umbrella toe. It's on a lot of her patterns, and this is Woolley Goodness yarn. I do have two. And it's Woolley Goodness yarn. The way the sun's shining, that's it. And it's self-striping merino nylon. Sorry, in front of my face. I did have one lady who lip reads, and I said I would try harder. And it's I love this. If you're happy and you know it. And it's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and it was a 50-gram ball, and it came with the wee pink contrast. And this is, if you remember, I was trying out for the first time the shadow wrap heel. Fantastic. I will definitely be doing it again. I still love the heel flap and gusset. This fits okay. I could do with it maybe a wee bit deeper, but the ease of it compared to a German short row heel is just amazing. And I still will do heel flap and gusset, but I think for a self-striping, this is lovely because it doesn't, trying to get the right colour, it doesn't interfere with your stripes. And as always with Woolley Goodness yarn, it's as soft as you could possibly get. So I'm thrilled with those. I am, I'm keeping those for myself because they make me happy. And another pair for my box of socks, just vanilla. but absolutely thrilled with those, and have a wee bit left over for my scrappy blanket. So there we go. Pop those down there. Sorry about that. Then confessions. Isn't that what Ellie says on Craft House Magic? Well, this is, do you know what? I've said 100 times, it's my knitting and I cast on if I want to. We're doing the shawl cowl. I have, how many shawls on the needles for that? Well, I was watching some of the coverage on Instagram for the shops for under the iKnit 7. And it's 7 yarn shops. I think quite a few of them are in London, and they've joined together several times, but this time for discounts and different things. And for this time, they're doing a cowl, and it's a shawl. And I'm not entering the cowl, I just fell in love with the shawl. And it's by Tif Neilan. I'll put the details down below. And it's the Break in the Tide shawl. Now, I didn't print the big picture, but we'll see if you can see. That's the shawl. I'm not a tassel girl, not a fussy, you know, person. Not a tassel girl, so I didn't do the tassels, but I have a finished object. Now, it said in the pattern not to soak it, you know, like the way we normally would do, just to spritz it. And I don't know if any of you follow Mrs. Hinch, and I don't know, but back in the day when she was starting, she recommended that you keep fabric softener in a spray bottle and you spray your curtains with it every so often to bring up a nice smell. And I've done that for years. So I thought, perfect, I will spray that, and it smells divine, absolutely divine. And I have a finished object, which I didn't even have cast on this time last week. And this is my like gorgeous. Now I'll excuse the marker, I just had it still in. Obviously don't need it at this time of the year, but oh, the smell is divine. Look, stand up slightly. This is Fisherman's Rib, and it is just the squishiest thing in the world, and these are slip stitches. And oh, I have had this yarn, look, oh, I just love it. I have had this yarn in my stash since way into 2019. I'll show you the tags in a wee minute. I just can't get enough of it. It is like a big bundle of squish. There we go. And it's the yarn I have used. It's DK, which is unusual for me. And oh my goodness, all right, sit back in my chair again. When you have knit primarily with fingering, DK knits itself. It's amazing. And I just took a notion because I hadn't enough on the needles. And I'll show you the yarn. Now, because of the tassels, the yarn requirements that it says in the pattern are quite high, and I didn't take into consideration the tassels. So it says you need basically 2 balls of solid and 2 balls of variegated or speckled, and I still have a full ball of the solid left. That's showing up a wee bit darker than it actually is. And the yarns I used were this one here, which was the solid, is Easyknits.co.uk. I got this off eBay, maybe even in 2018, and it's Squidge DK Petrolhead, and it's 80% Polworth, 20% Merino, and it says on the label 4-ply, but it's obviously labelled wrong, and it's Squidge DK. Oh, just getting used to this. There we go. And I had 2 of those, but as I say, I haven't touched the second one at all. And then, because I've had the variegated ones so long, let me see if I can show you that. Sorry. Little ball. There. This is all I've got left. But look at the browns and the tealy green and gorgeous. And I got that 2019 at a wool show very, very close to me in a place called the Woolley Weekend. And I say it's close to me, but it's down Devon Roads, and Devon Roads, only one car fits down the road. So it took me what I felt like forever to go about 10 miles. And but it was in a place called Kelly House, which is a historic place, hundreds and hundreds of years old. So Eva, my daughter, went with me, and she was just, there was weaving, there was all sorts going on. But there was a company called Madderabout Wool, and I've had these so long the label's nearly worn off. Now she's on Etsy, and I'll put the details down below. Can you see that? And it's called Shipwreck DK, and I remember buying one because the colour caught my eye, and I thought I'll make a hat, just gorgeous. But when we went for a cup of tea or a wee drink, and I said to my daughter, I think I'll go back. I only had 2 skeins, I think, and I bought both of them, and they've sat in my stash, and I've looked at them and looked at them and looked at them, and I loved them. But I didn't want to waste 2 on something if I wasn't going to use the full thing. So it's merino nylon, and it's as soft as anything. And I've used basically the whole 2 in that shawl. I can't say enough about that shawl. I would knit another one tomorrow. It was absolutely gorgeous, and a big squishy shawl. It would fit around my shoulders as well for the winter. And yeah, I hadn't even cast it on in the last podcast. Don't care. So that's my 2 finished objects, vanilla socks and a break in the tied shawl. Hope I've told you everything I need to tell you about that. Whips, so that was not even a whip, that was off the needles. So I think we've told you both my hands are lovely and soft from the conditioner in the shawl. I think both Fernanda and I have talked about doing the Cross the Pond shawl, which we didn't even know existed when we thought up the name for our cowl, and it's by Mina Phillips. And where have I put it? Oh, here's it. And she's finished hers, but I've had that many things going, I've been a bit behind, but I've progressed on it okay now, I have to say. So it's by the Knitting Expat, Mina Phillips, the Knitting Expat. Now the photographs aren't very good, but we'll see if we can. So it's one colour up there and one colour down there, and this is lace, and I'll show you the I'm getting it. You think you're almost there, but I counted the stitches last night and I've over 400 stitches, so I'm not almost there. But this is the thing so far. Get the right side. It's all on the needles, but you can see it's almost like a quilted effect. Love it. And then I'm using a solid colour for the, you'll not be able to see it well. I'll hopefully have this finished for next time and all blocked out and beautiful. But, oh yes, you can see the lace down there. It'll be beautiful when it's blocked. So these 2 are, so I have, that's 1 full repeat of the lace. Now this is the large size I've done, of course, and because go big or go home. And it says to do 2 repeats of the lace, which is 16 rows. Now, so that's 16 rows done. But when you finish, you need to finish either on a 4th row or a 12th row. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, I'm going to do 12 more rows and call it good, because I just want to wear it. I think another 12 rows on that will be just beautiful, and get it blocked and get it off the needles and onto my collection. And I've seen a mistake. I haven't picked up, that's easily rectifiable. I haven't picked up one of the wee things there. Sure, you wouldn't have noticed if I hadn't told you. And the yarn I'm using, the speckledy one, is from Biff's Sugar Yarns, and it's the colourway Maple, and it's 80/20, and the solid colour is Somerset Yarns, and it's Caramel. Perfect for the autumn, isn't it? Can't wait to get that off now, and I'll have something else to show you next week, and it's in my Botanical Yarns bag. There we go. I'm throwing everything down the ground here because I can reach it now. Progress. I'll just turn over. If I'm looking over here, it's just I've got notes, because I always say I'm Irish, and if I was left without notes, you'd be here all day. Sorry for the clinking. Then I'd mentioned on my last podcast that I had started a shawl, and but the designer had decided to bring out similar shawl, but similar style and pattern, but the whole thing would be lace. And I signed up for the test knit and I got accepted. So I've started this as well. I've got fairly well down. Now it's called Lasso the Moon. Love that. And this is the, quite, there we go. And it's like that the whole way. And it's by Under the Olive Tree Knits Gem. If you want a one skein shawl to do, she is the girl to go to. I have done many of her shawls many times, and they're written out line for line. They're so good. So this is my progress so far. Obviously you can't see a lot whenever it's not blocked out, but let me see if I can get a part that would be obvious. There we go. And it's another one, obviously with lace it needs blocked. So I'm about more than, not quite a halfway through, but I've got to the end of August to do, and of course I've got my big tip for lace is use stitch markers. And then if you do go wrong, you've only gone wrong with a certain amount of stitches. But that beautiful yarn is the one that I had started for the original shawl, and I just ripped back to start again, and that is from Mothy the Squid. There is the tag. Mothy the Squid, and I got that from lovely Wendy on my last wool swap, and it's Mothy the Squid Happy Blue Pink. There we go. And it's in my little Jibby Rousseau's Punnet of Strawberries, which I just love. That wee bag, it really holds a lot. I was surprised. Like to have my, there we go. And so that'll be finished hopefully for next time too, if I don't get distracted. So that'll be 3 that I'll have in the cal. Obviously we can't win any prizes, but it's just fun to be part of it, isn't it? So just let me put my pattern back with it, or I'll be looking for it. And so that's that. Now my 2 shawls, Stephen West shawls, I'm doing the Curvette shawl, and I'm using Bird Street yarn and needle and thread yarn. And I've got a confession, it's boring. I don't mean it's boring, I've never said that about anything, but it's not engaging me because it's just garter stitch. So it's absolutely fantastic because it's TV knitting, it's, you know, Netflix knitting, it's Zoom knitting, but at the minute I'm going to keep it for Zoom knitting. It's a 5 skein shawl, it's not going to get done soon, and I'm just going to keep pumping away at it. But there's no point showing you. If you want to see it originally and all that, I've done it for the last 2 episodes. I've maybe made another inch on it this week, and so I'll show you it maybe every few weeks rather than that. But I don't mean it's boring. That's just, sorry Stephen, I don't mean it's boring. But it's not grabbing me at the minute, and but it'll get done, and it looks gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but at the minute I just wanted a wee bit more engaging. But if you want to try a Stephen West shawl and you want a good lot of garter, you work away at it. It's so simple, it's repetitive. I don't even need the pattern now, which is fantastic, and yep, it'll be getting done, but maybe not as soon as I'd hoped. And then the other Stephen West shawl, which is the Kinship shawl, I haven't touched it either, I'm sorry, but I will, because I love it. And I'll just give you a wee, I was so excited last time, I think I forgot to say which shawl this was, but this is the Kinship shawl. And it's in the Pom Pom 35, the magazine Pom Pom. I've got my flump from Rasmussen Resin. Love her progress keepers. And as I say, this is kind of going in the back burner till I knit the other one, but that'll be back on again too. And I'm using Regia in these 2 colours. And then I'm just using a black from my stash of hand-dyed yarns. But I'll not, if you want to see, I've done that in the last podcast too. And of course it's in one of my favourite bags from So Yarnalicious. But I'll be on all those projects in the next few weeks. I probably won't get to podcast just as soon again because when the kids get back, they're still off on their school holidays. So that'll give me a wee bit more time to do those things. So that's what happens when you've got too many whips. But not really bothered. It'll all get done. It'll all get done. Then I've been taking part in the Lucky Dip cowl with Hawthorne Cottage Crafts. If you want to know about that, go and check out Kate's podcast. And this month's, I've already picked it out because obviously I'm well into August. This month's was this lovely yarn from Castleview Yarns. Oh, actually, that's probably the best colour. And I've cast on a pair of socks. I'm trying to do this all on my knee and it's not working very well. So the socks I've cast on are the Kelpie socks by Olivia Villarreal, I'm going to say. Not sure what national. And you can see they've got like a mock cable going up the side of them. That's the lady's name there. And I've had this pattern for quite a while. And I'll show you the, oh, and I've a wee contrasting mini just out of my stash, but I don't know if I'll use it actually. I might just knit this all because it's a 100-gram skein, so I might just knit it all in the one, and I might do my shadow wrap heel again. Just trying to find, sorry. The yarn is from Castleview Yarns, and it's Fear of the Dark. There's 425 meters. That's a good big skein, isn't it? And I think you can see pretty well. Front of my face again. Pretty well the pattern there. And it's just lovely wee detail at the back too, and so stretchy. It's really lovely. So you just work that down, and then you start the heel, and then you go on down to the rest of the. It's like massive, but there's just, I've got them all so close to the camera. So there you are. So that's my Lucky Dip. So that's my August socks on the go. And they're in a wee bag. And I've had this so long and there's no label in it. I don't know where I got it from. I think, could it be Jibby Ruse? I'm not sure. I did check it earlier, but I don't see a wee... No, there's no wee tag. But it's cute and it's great because it holds a pattern and all too. So that's a whip I have worked on. And then Disaster Darling. If anybody watches Strictly Come Dancing, you'll know you know that reference. And if you see my podcast or if you see my Instagram, you will know the story already. Last week I showed you the most gorgeous top. In fact, I was so excited about it, I forgot to say the name and I had to write it on the screen. Now this is the Reina de Picasti, that's probably why I didn't say it, by Valentina Bogdanova. She's a Russian lady. Valentina, isn't that a beautiful name? I'll put all the details down below. And I showed you this stunning top. Beautiful, absolutely stunning. I was 6 rows off splitting for the sleeve. Sorry, I'm looking everywhere except where I'm supposed to be looking. And I was enjoying it. Now I had made a wee mistake, but I'd worked out how to fix it. And I was fixing it and it all looked beautiful, and I was thrilled with it. Now I was doing it in very dark yarn, which I couldn't knit on at night. Which was a bit of a problem, but I just chugged away at it, a couple of rows, and I was thrilled with it. And yesterday, after my family left, I made a cup of tea and I sat down, and I rarely knit in our living room. I generally knit in my craft room. If I knit in the living room with the kids, I just knit on socks. They like you if you're down there to concentrate on whatever they're doing. And but they're also at the age they don't want mummy sitting in on what they're watching, so I'm not often in my living room. And I thought, everybody's away, I'll watch YouTube videos on the big TV. And as you know, I have a wee dog. Now this is not her fault, but she was feeling very lonely because she saw her daddy and her brother and sister leaving with cases. And I was fixing the little mistake. I like a good long story, can you tell? I was fixing the mistake, and I had the kitchen scissors, because it would mean coming the whole way back upstairs to get my craft scissors, and I was cutting an end off the yarn. She jumped up, nudged my elbow, and I cut right into my knitting. Disaster, darling. Absolutely ruined. I have tried to rip it back, but I am now left with, oh, I don't know how many tiny little balls of yarn. I'll just show you. This is probably where I was last week. It's gorgeous. As I said, it's very dark yarn, but it's ruined. There's no, I don't even know how to pick it. It's cut into even here. Look, it's cut in right up. Do you know what? It's only knitting. No point crying over ruined knitting. It wasn't the dog's fault. She didn't eat it or rip it, and she never touched it. It was me using sharp kitchen scissors. This yarn I have cast on at least 4 times with this yarn for 4 different projects, and I've decided the yarn is not meant to be used for anything. I have one beautiful skein left that's still, I think it's only one, yes, that's still so this might be getting distashed too, you never know. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, there's not a thing wrong with the yarn, but I'm starting to think it's not for me. It's Old Maiden Aunt, and the colourway is Red Velvet, and it is gorgeous. That's exactly the colour there. It is gorgeous. So but I now have a bag, my Rick Rack Room bag, nearly full of tiny little balls of yarn. So I really am going to have to think about what I'm going to do with this. But there's always a silver lining. My mum was watching, hello mummy, was watching the podcast last week, and she rang me and said, Ruth, can you remind me of that pattern, because do you think I could knit it? And I said, Mummy, do you want me to knit it for you? And now she's getting a Christmas present of a knitted top. It is gorgeous, and it would suit her beautifully. But she wants, thankfully, a lighter colour. And I had this in stash, and I thought this would be perfect. She wants a creamy kind of colour. And it's Sirdar Snuggly. And it's Cashmere Merino Silk 4-ply. Now, she wanted something she could put in the wash, and I think it does say you can put this in the wash, so that's fine. So this is the colour that I will be knitting my mummy. She knows she's getting it, so it doesn't matter. This pattern in this yarn, because it's a beautiful pattern. I really enjoyed knitting it. I'd made one wee mistake, one stitch out, and it was fixed. It just wasn't meant to be. And I tried to rip it back, but it was just coming away because I'd cut right up the middle of it. So there's a story for you. And you just have to laugh. If you didn't, you'd cry. It's only knitting. It's not the end of the world. Nobody bled, nobody died, nothing. So, and my wee dog was feeling vulnerable, and my knitting hit the ground. So you will see another one of those lovely t-shirts by Valentina, but in different yarn. So that's the big long story, and we're sorted for that. We'll get that cast on again and sorted. But this is the Ruth Loves to Knit podcast. I will not be calling it the Ruth Loves to Knit and Crochet podcast, but last week I met up with my lovely friend Hannah. She works in my local yarn shop. I mention her quite often. She has a podcast also. It's Hannah's Happy Space. If you haven't checked her out, please do, because there's no craft she hasn't done or that she isn't good at. And I just took a real notion. I have, FOMO, fear of missing out. I wanted to try amigurumi. I had practiced that word. And she said, let's meet in the yarn shop and I'll teach you how to do amigurumi. She has the patience of a saint. Now, this wee book is for sale in our the Woolly Beater. I mention the Woolly Beater all the time. It has an online shop if you want to check it out. And this is the wee book that I picked up, and this is the one that I decided that I wanted to do. Well, after spending some time with Hannah, and she explained things as she always does. She's a fantastic teacher, and she helped me to understand the lingo, if you want to call it. I have... Does that look like a dog? Does that look like a dog? She had to do a few of the rows for me. I think maybe 3 rows, because I kept talking and losing count. And I couldn't read it. I can read my knitting and I can go back and I can see it and I can correct it. But obviously I'm new to crochet. And I finished it off when I came home, and funny enough, the rest of it is fine, because I took myself away into a quiet room and it's stuffed. And this is meant to be this dog. Looks like it, doesn't it? Well, my hands, by the time I finished this, I used the Rickarimi yarn as well, because they sell it in the shop. By the time I finished this head, my hands were like claws. I was obviously holding it really tight, really concentrating, and I said, give me back my knitting. So you may see the rest of this at some point, or you may never see this again. But I want to thank Hannah for being so patient and coming in and helping me out of the goodness of her heart. I think I've got the idea now, and it may get a body, or it may just be this random thing hanging. But sure, you can only try, and you can't be good at something the first time you do it, I'm sure, when we, so thanks, Hannah. So I've tried it out, but we won't be changing the name of the podcast anytime soon. So there you go. That was my it was just lovely to have a wee few hours drinking coffee and chatting and trying to pretend I could count to 3. Now, I need your help. Knitting emergency. I put this on Instagram too, and most people said knit. I put knit, frog, or no, knit, rip, or I don't care. And there was a few people said I don't care, which is a perfectly valid answer. But whenever I did the Rip the Whip segment, if you haven't seen that, go back. I think I did title it Rip the Whip. I don't know how many episodes ago it was. I had this gorgeous breezeway tee by Laura Ayler. Thoroughly enjoyed, see, everything's going to go everywhere. Thoroughly enjoyed knitting it. It fits me great. Beautiful style. But if you remember, I had, look, prove it, helical knitting, 2 on the go. But I had managed to get a go faster stripe at the bottom of it. So I have, it's a bit like that on the sleeves. I've ripped it out. The go faster stripe is gone. But what I want to know, now it's on a cord, so I can knit it again. What I want to know is, should I knit it back, or should I rip it back? Because my lovely friend Nikki has given me another skein of this. So I could knit something more with it. It's a beautiful plump 4-ply from Knitology. It's a knit crate. It's called Titmus, and I absolutely love it, obviously with the yellow in it. My fear is, will my gauge be different? And will it be really obvious that I've ripped back and started again? Or will, and I can see, I knit it a long time ago, and I can see bits that I'm not happy with. Like, make ones now, I would do a lifted make one. So like there's wee bits like this. Okay. So, I think I know what I want to do, but could you put in a message down below if you think I should rip it or knit it? I'm so tempted to rip it, because as you know, it doesn't bother me to rip it, but it is the dickens to rip out things when you're helical knitting. It takes forever, because you have to do one round, then round. So I would really appreciate your help with this. Should I knit it? Should I rip it? Yeah. If you want to help me out, put a wee comment down below. I'd really appreciate it. Look, I've even put where because you increase the whole way down because it's an A-line shape. So let me know what you think of that. But if you want to knit that, it's beautiful, and I would be very tempted to knit another one. It's the Breezeway top by Laura Ayler, and I'll put the details down below. Right, last week I talked about the fact that I had 1,000 subscribers listening to this nonsense. I thought over 1,300 of you listening in to my nonsense when there's so many professional podcasters out there. But I had got a wee prize put together because it was Christmas in July. It seems ridiculous now talking about it in August. Sorry for the crinkling. But I had got a wee bag with a jingly jingly from Craft House Magic. I had got a lovely Christmas mini screen. These are 20 gram minis from Ted Knits. And then inside my bag, I had got some wee Christmas stitch markers. And I have pulled a prize, 197 comments. 197 comments. And I've replied to everybody as far as I know, but they were the unique comments. And the winner is Elaine Allerton. And she's on YouTube, I think under her husband's name, which is Eric. So, but she's Elaine. I think she's over in Canada. So Elaine, if you could get in touch with me either on Instagram or on my ruthlovesknit@gmail.com email and let me know your address, I will get those sent off to you. Now they will be going well, let's see what the weight is, but if they don't if it's too expensive, they'll be going on the slow boat and you'll get them for Christmas. But yes, thrilled to pieces with thank you so much for all your support and all those comments, my goodness. So that's the wee giveaway. And then I had a wee segment in Instagram of Ask Me Anything. And people seem obsessed with the amount I knit. But we'll go through a few of the wee questions here. And it's one of them, have you ever lost interest in a project? Well, from what I said today, yes. Life's too short to knit in things that you're not enjoying. And as you can tell from my previous podcast, I'll just rip back. But I'm a process knitter. I love the knitting. But no harm, no foul. Rip it back. Nobody knows if you even started it. And yeah, not often I'll lose interest, but sometimes. How long have you been knitting? And there's another one about the same question. I learnt to knit. My primary school teacher taught me to knit when I was in P2 in the UK. England's a different system, but in Northern Ireland, where I'm from, you'll be about 6. I still remember in through the bunny hole, round the big tree, out through the bunny hole, and off goes she. And it was Mrs. Morton, and I'm still in contact with her today. She supports our mission, and her son is in our mission. And it was funny, I was speaking on a Zoom church, and she was there, and I was able to tell her that she has kept me seeing through many things because she taught me to knit. And yes, Mrs. Morton taught me to knit whenever I was in primary 2. Gosh, too many years ago. I'm not gonna go into that. What's your favourite thing to knit? That was lovely. Karen asked me that, and I thought that would be like choosing which my favourite child. It's always the last thing in it, I think. That shawl, that A Break in the Tide shawl is probably my favourite thing at the moment. But shawls, obviously, I keep saying shawls are my favourite thing. How many shawls have you knit? I looked up. I'm not great at putting things on Ravelry, but and I've got a notebook with everything in it. I've probably knit upwards of 30 shawls because they're great gifts. I find that like for my son for Christmas, I gave his head teacher and his TA, he has a TA to help him with his learning difficulties, and I gave them both shawls. And my sister-in-law, I would knit a lot for presents, so I don't keep them all, but I'm sure that upwards of 30, maybe even more, that I haven't kept a record of. When and how much do you knit? I knit all the time. If I'm in the car, I have my knitting in my handbag. If I'm waiting for the kids, I'm knitting. Once I get the dinner made at night, I sit down and I knit for probably 4 or 5 hours. I'm a very fast knitter, which helps. But normally at this time of the year, with our mission, we would be knee deep in children's residential camps, and they're not on at this year or last year, so I do have more time. But I'm still busy. I'm a mum. I've got a house to run. I'm speaking at a youth thing tomorrow night. I'm not sitting here twiddling my thumbs. But if I have a chance to knit, I knit. So that's how I get things done. And as I say, I am a fast knitter. Rambling through this. When did you start knitting? I've answered that. When choosing a project, are you impulsive or plan every little thing? I think I'm impulsive. If I planned it, I would just go back on it. But I love the thing of setting up your project bag and getting all your wee notions and everything. Maybe if I'd set up my project bag better, I wouldn't be using the kitchen scissors, so I would still have a lovely sweater. But yes, I'm impulsive. If I see something shiny and bright, I want to knit it. So yes. And how did my de-stash go? My de-stash went great. Thank you very, very much. And you'll see maybe some of the things that I've bought with the de-stash money next week. Confessions. I've just got a couple of wee bits of incoming. We're okay for time. And I wanted to show you. Now, if you remember back a few weeks ago, I had knit pair of socks for a sample for fruitful Ishrat of Fruitful Fusions. That's hard to say fast. And she gave me credit for her shop for knitting those, and I couldn't resist this. It's called The Big Pond. And so with what we're doing, it was ideal. But look at this. Beautiful. And it's so so 75.25 4-ply, and that was my wee shop credit, and it's across the pond. Oh, the big pond. So I thought that was perfect. Excuse me. Then I saw this on Instagram. I have to stay off Instagram. It's a blessing and a curse. And I just thought, if this is not me in a 3-skein fade, what is? And I couldn't resist it. And I'm not sure which way it goes. I suppose that way. Look at that. Look at that. I love it. Look at the speckles. This is from Shannon of Blue Fern Yarns, and she sent me 2 beautiful wee minis as well with it. And tea and lovely wee package. I say I love that. I'm a sucker for any like that sort of stuff. But look. Sorry, the light's shining a bit on it. That's better. Look at that. Beautiful. And I'd ordered it and everything. Sorry, I should tell you. Beautiful. This is beautiful. Perfect. And this one is Oh Honey Honey. This is just last week. This in her last update, so she might still have. And this is Shipwreck. And they're all her platinum sock. And then the lovely wee minis. And these are actually the ones I asked her about. These ones I'm just realising, and these were the ones I thought I would get, but I had to get these beautiful ones. I mean, look how gorgeous. So, well, it's going to be a shawl, isn't it? Let's face it. Just love it. So, these over out of the way. Whenever I'd put the order in, she must have been talking to her mum, and her mum watches the podcast. Can you believe it? And she is a bag maker, and she said, "Can I send you a bag that you can either keep it or give it in a giveaway?" Well, I may have a few project bags, maybe just 1 or 2. So I'm going to keep it for a giveaway. And look at this gorgeous bag. Look at the wee straps. A box bottom. Absolutely gorgeous. It was all beautifully wrapped up. And this is her card. It's Miss Mandy Lou. And she is on Instagram, and obviously you can go through Instagram to get handmade project bags and accessories. And she's at Miss Mandy Lou on Instagram, and this will be a giveaway prize, not maybe for our cal, but because we've got so many prizes. I'll maybe show you more of those next week. And thank you so much. I am just thrilled with that, but I'll give that away definitely, because I may have a few project bags of my own. And talk about project bags. Look at this. I ordered this quite a while ago from one of the yarn festivals. I absolutely love it. As far as I know, it's Zimbabwean material, and my cousin lives in Zimbabwe. She married a Zimbabwean, and it's from Soft Accents, and it's on Instagram is where I saw it. So I have to stay off Instagram. And it came with obviously the wee business cards, and it says taking care of your farai bag. Your farai bag is made with African wax print cotton fabric and lined with 100% cotton fabric. You should go and check it out. It's a beautiful, bright things, and a lovely wee card. But then it says, if you think you're too small to make a difference, you haven't spent a night with a mosquito. Now, having worked in Bangladesh, I can tell you that's absolutely true. So it's gorgeous. It's got a box bottom, good medium size, beautiful mustard. I mean, this just caught my eye, obviously, the yellow, and I just love it. So yeah, I have a few project bags. And then this morning, My catchphrase is, it's my knitting and I cast on if I want to. Sorry, Mum, you're going to kill me. It's my knitting and I'll cast on if I want to. I got this from, I couldn't resist it. I got this. Look, it came, look. I mean, it came in this wrapping. It's from the Happy and Bright Co. It's the offshoot from Lasso. I'm sure many of you have got the Lasso wee bits and pieces, pens and different things on Instagram. I'll put it down. This is from the Happy and Bright Co. And it's at Happy and Bright Co on Instagram, and I just couldn't resist that t-shirt, so I maybe have that one. It only came literally as I was sitting down, so I just think it's brilliant. So there you go. I love a good knitting t-shirt. This one here, if I'm sitting, I'm knitting. And yeah, so that's my incoming, and thrilled with that, absolutely thrilled with that. Very last thing before I share a wee bit from the scripture is podcasts. Sharing the love with some podcasts. And you know, the more I watch podcasts, the more ones from Northern Ireland and from Ireland as a whole are coming up. And I just thought I would share some of the Irish, Northern Irish, whatever you want to say, podcasts that I do watch. And I'm sure there's more, and if there are more, please let me know. But the first one I want to share is Kat Kelly Crafts, and her name is obviously Kat. And she's a new knitter. She started knitting in lockdown, but my goodness, what a talented knitter. So creative. And she's got quite a few podcasts out now, so go and give Kat a wee check out. She's from a different part of Northern Ireland than I'm from, but we maybe have slightly, maybe, I don't know if you can tell, if you're not from Ireland, if you can tell the regional accents, but I can definitely. And then of course lovely Angela from Knitting on the Farm. Now she hasn't podcast for a wee while, life's just got in the way a wee bit for her, but she's plenty to choose from. You could go back and have a look. She's got lots of vlogmases and everything, and she's a little bit more calm than I am, and she shows wee snippets from her farm, and it's just lovely. She doesn't speak at 100 miles an hour like I do. The next one is Jean the Creative Pixie. She is a big crocheter. She probably laughing at my attempt at amigurumi, but she's from Belfast, and if you want to hear good Belfast accent, you can go and see her. So that's Jean the Creative Pixie. And then Susan from Wild Cottage, Ireland. Susan she's actually American, but boys, oh, she has picked up an Irish accent. She is down in the very south of Ireland, and thanks to her, my husband is being a yarn mule and bringing back yarn for me from Ireland. And she showed some, I'll show you obviously when it arrives, but she showed some yarn on her podcast, and I couldn't resist because it's from the town that my husband's from. So I blame her entirely, but her podcast is beautiful. She has a garden where she has things that you can use for natural dyeing. And yeah, go and check her out. She loves bright colours too, which is good. And but yes, it's it's a lovely podcast. So yeah, check her out. And as I say, if you have any more, if you're from Ireland, Northern Ireland, well, I know obviously Babbles Yarn as well. She has a podcast too. But any other podcasts, I'd love to hear from them about them, and to give them a wee check out. Right, well that's all the nitty stuff, all the nitty chat, 100 miles an hour. But sure, you know that's what you get when you come to see me. And I've looked everywhere, but I even have a wee mark to say look at the camera, but I'm still looking all over the place. But just as I finish, as I always do, I want to share a little bit from the scripture. And if that's not your thing, I completely understand. And I'm so thankful that you've been with me today. And I hope you'll come back again. And if you're leaving me now, I'll say cheerio and see you soon. God bless. Look after yourself. But if you want to stay just for a wee minute or two, I just want to share, I'm just going to look at my notes here. I just want to share a little bit with you. And last week I talked about prayer, and I asked, do you pray? And some people got in touch with me and said, Ruth, I don't know how to pray. I'm not sure if my prayers are getting through. And I want to just share with you today a wee bit of maybe practical side of prayer, a bit different from what I normally do. But you know, in the Bible, in Luke 18, verse 10 to 14, there's a story about a Pharisee who was a very religious leader, and a tax collector who obviously was hated for what he did. And they came to the temple, and the Pharisee stood by himself and he prayed this prayer. This is verse 11. He said, I thank you, God. I'm sure he used this voice. I thank you, God, that I'm not like other people, cheaters, sinners, adulterers. I'm certainly not like that tax collector. I fast twice a week and I give you 1/10 of my income. I wonder, did he have that face on, you know, like, look at me, I'm wonderful. And he probably was very religious and he probably did keep all the laws. But you know, the tax collector stood at a distance and dared not even lift his eyes to heaven as he prayed. Instead, he beat his chest in sorrow, saying, "O God, be merciful to me, for I am a sinner." And it goes on to say in verse 14, I tell you, this sinner, not the Pharisee, returned home justified before God. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. You know, the Pharisee thought all his rituals he did made him better than anybody else, and we know nobody is better than anybody else. The tax collector came humbly, bowed his head, and quietly with humility asked God to forgive him. In response to hide his sincerity, his sin was forgiven instantly. If we come to God with sincerity, remember I've said it several times in this podcast, like I used to say to my children, you know, if you're sorry and mean it, you have to come with sincerity, come humbly, come brokenly if you need to, you cry out to God, come respectably, as in respectively, sorry, and he will forgive, help and bless. But you know, some days I have to be honest, I get down to prayer, I take myself away from the noise of the family, I come away, I come to, you know, when the children were small, I sometimes went into the bathroom so I could lock the door. But I'm like anybody else, I get tired, my mind starts wandering, I start thinking about what I'm going to make for dinner, I you know, start thinking about the shopping list, you know, it doesn't come naturally to many people, but this is a wee thing that I found very, very helpful with the children. I'm sorry if I don't want to insult you, but I know a lot of people found the traffic lights I talked about last week very, very helpful, and this is a wee thing that I just got on the internet. And it's your hand, and this is how you can remember to pray. And I'm just going to read it off, and you can look it up. Just look up praying with 5 fingers, and I'll put it all down below. And number 1 is your thumb. Your thumb is the closest finger to you. Start by praying for those who are closest to you. They are the people easiest to remember. To pray for our dear ones is a sweet duty. So that's your thumb. What I should do? I'm right-handed. Number 2. The next finger is your index finger or pointing finger. Pray for those who teach you, instruct you and heal you. They point you in the right direction. They need God's support and wisdom to direct others. Always keep them in your prayers. Number 3, this one, the following finger is the tallest. It reminds us of our leaders and those who have authority in our lives. They need God's guidance. All of our governments need God's guidance. Number 4, the 4th finger is your ring finger. There we go. It's your weakest finger. This finger reminds us to pray for the weakest, the sick, or those with problems. They need our prayers. And finally, the pinky. You have your little finger, the smallest of all. Your pinky reminds you to pray for yourself. When you're done praying for the other 4 groups, you will be able to see your own needs more clearly. You will be able to pray for yourself in a better way. God bless you. And that's just a wee thing that I think would be a really, really helpful thing for you to look at. I've made notes on just a wee helpful thing for you to think about. When you see your hand, you can think of how to pray, and then it'll become more natural as the time goes on. It's like anything, practice makes perfect, and the more you practice, the more it'll become. But God has promised in his word that if you pray to him with the right in the right way, then he will listen to your prayers. Listen, I've gone on long enough. I hope that's been helpful. A lot of people have questioned about it and asked me how to pray and how I pray. and I keep a journal as well, and then if things are answered, I write it in the journal, and if not, I can keep praying. And if you would like me to pray for you, please email me. Don't put it in the comments below if it's private. Please email me and I will certainly add you to my prayer list, and if you ever need to talk as well. Right, I've gone on long enough. I've talked as usual my 100 miles an hour. And I've looked everywhere but the camera. But I hope you've had a wee bit of time to just sit and chill and relax and listen to some knitty chat. I hope you're all keeping well. I hope you're all keeping safe, and just keep on knitting. God bless. Bye.